Someone once said, one key element of leadership is the ability to harness the talents of others to achieve a common goal. According to a survey recently done by Robert Half, 49% of professionals have quit a job due to a bad boss. I am Olujoke Mosaku and I'm saying welcome to you and thank you always for watching Let's Talk. And our focus for today is effective leadership versus being bossy. I'm sure you'll be wondering why this, but you will get to know that as we go ahead in the program. And our Ashiwaju Aziz Ola, Group Head, Human Resource International and Second Vice President, Nigerian Institute of Training and Development, NITAD, is here to unveil the truth. Stay with us. Thank you so much for being part of the show today and thank you for coming. During my introduction, I actually said the topic is effective leadership versus being bossy. These two things are actually also leadership, but I'm sure they connote something different in their own way. I would like to ask, what is leadership and who is a boss?
When we say leadership basically is a practical skill encompassing the ability of an individual or organization to lead or guide other individual, team, entire organization, a state, or a nation. In another way, again, according to Harvard Business Review, it could also be seen as an accomplishment of a goal through the direction of human assistance. That is a human and social achievement that stems from the leader's understanding of his or her own fellow workers and the relationship of the individual goal to the group's overall overarching aims and objectives.
Okay, so now is that the definition of or the who a leader is?
When you say leadership is a function.
Okay.
A leader is a person who actually have influence or influences over a group of people for the purpose of achieving a particular goal. It could be business goal, economic goal, social goal, political goal, business goal, or what have you. So that is leadership putting in a very narrow perspective.
Now, talking about being bossy, how would you define this?
When you say being bossy means somebody who employ or superintend a worker or group of workers, individual or people. We could also see it as a politician who control the party, organization, or resources. It may also be a person who make decisions with maximum authority and exercise his authority maybe through coercion. He direct a control over and above others. Sometimes it could be in an arrogant manner.
Now, how would you differentiate these two? Are there key elements that we need to know? Like if we have a chart right now and we say, okay, leadership or leader and being bossy, what are the points that you would actually explain for people who still really don't see the difference between these two to actually know what exactly these two terminology means?
That means you want me to actually periscope and dissect or show analysis of being a leader and also being a boss. A boss seems to know everything, whereas a leader admits mistakes. It's not that he doesn't know everything. Knowledge can come from up, it can come down. And of course, when he does things that is not in line with the required standard or target, he admits mistake. A boss tells people what to do, whereas a leader shows individual group of people how to do things. A boss is noted for criticism. He criticizes, whereas a leader gives advice. Not only that, a boss talks fast and gives order. not minding whether the knowledge, the competence, the ability or motivation of the target audience is actually commensurate with the direction and the assignment or the task given. Whereas a leader gives direction, he supports, he motivates, he inspires, he engender the I can attitude for individuals. A boss demands respect, and that's why you see a boss telling you this is a constituted authority. Whereas a leader earns and actually deserves respect by action, by his deed, what he shows, he demonstrates, and what have you. A boss rules with threat, not law, whereas a leader shows human kindness, meekness, and of course, inspiration to really inspire others. A leader in that context can be seen as a handholder, a destiny helper, somebody who believes that somebody can do something. If I thought the person believes he cannot do it, he's the one that will encourage, he's the one that will motivate, he's the one that will coach the individual to be able to achieve what they are capable of achieving in a particular task. Again, on a final note, a boss depends on hearsay, whereas a leader investigates to the fact and process fact to be able to get the desired result.
Okay, now it is a well-known fact that bossiness is the antithesis of true leadership. To what extent does it improve or affect organizational growth?
For any organization to exist, there must be a purpose of existence.
Mm-hmm.
It could be economic, it could be profit or not for profit, it could be for political, it could be for business, social, and what have you. So the purpose of existence needs to be well understood. A boss will use coercion to really get maximum result from people. He does not know how they get results. He just wants them to get results. Rather than seeking solutions so that when it's not there, the job, the assignment can be carried out profitably, professionally, ethically. He always gives answer. He actually criticizes. And if all these things are in place, it shows that certain core value that you need to encourage will definitely be lacking. Like what? Job ownership. People will lack job ownership. In job ownership, it's all about value proposition from start to end. Somebody's output is another person's input.
Yes.
And in light of this, when there's no job ownership, nothing tangible will be done in the absence of a boss. Mm-hmm. Again, integrity and self-discipline might be lacking in the workplace. Again, pursuit of excellence will be at all costs. In the light of all this, when the people are not willingly, when they are not encouraged to use their creativity and ingenuity to create a line of sight with the organizational goal, it might be difficult for the organization to, they may achieve success, but sustainability of that success beyond today might be a problem. And at the end of the day, being bossy may actually be somebody who behaves as an engine room of a team, of an organization, that may actually hinder the effectiveness and efficiency of a team. It could be a threat to the success and sustainability of any given organization.
Okay, now while I was doing my introduction, I talked about Robert Half, who actually did a survey of 49% of people leaving their jobs as a result of bad bosses. What would you say to that?
I agree with them. Why? The issue being this: when we say environment sort of encapsulates the leadership, the style, the ambience, and what have you. When a boss exact maximum authority, there will not be rest of mind. And when there's rest of mind, there will be disharmony. And disharmony leads to people will be too careful. And when they are too careful, they become disengaged and become disgruntled. And today, the Generation X and Generation Next, they are not only after unlike baby boomers generation, they are not only after money, they want job fulfillment, they want fun feel environment, they want to be really recognized, and they also want to be part of the team. So where this is lacking, of course, people will not be able to give in their best. And before you know it, the talent will end up being burn out. And when they are burned out and they're unable to really assert their potential, bring up their or demonstrate their ingenuity in the workplace, they will look at that place as restrictive, like an umbrella that will actually limit their growth, their advancement in the workplace. So, in other words, the best way is to leave such an organization for a better organization that will make them to realize their potential to the fullest.
That's wonderful. Now, how can a boss transcend to being a leader, a bossy man, a bossy leader, if I would use that word? How can such a person transcend into being a true and effective leader?
There must be, first of all, consciousness. Am I a boss or am I a leader? If he sees that, there's what I should call a sincere personal calibration of the style, of the chemistry and biological makeup of an individual. Because the moment you identify your problem, there must be clarity. In clarity, what do I mean? They must be clear and concise at all times, that there's no question of their vision, what needs to be accomplished. Why do I want to transcend from being a boss to being a leader? There must be clarity of purpose, lack of ability in that. Again, there must be decisiveness. They must also make up their mind that being bossy, they want to do away with the attendant negative or negativity or disadvantages that go along with it. There must be that decisiveness. What they have made up their mind that they want to become a leader, not a dealer. Again, a dealer could also be a leader, a sincere leader. So it requires some decisiveness, and all their hands must be on deck. Again, they must also have courage. In being a leader, you won't pretend you know it all, and there will be feedback. In giving feedback, it might not be palatable, it might not be patronizing. So if you don't have that courage, forget it. You may actually not be there. So that is that. Then again, the fourth one is passion. You must have that passion, the inner desire, the urge to want to change, to transform from being bossy, which is mechanistic, to being a leader, which is sort of permissive, which is sort of flexible, and which is also good to be able to do things better and do better things. And the last one is humility. You must ready to listen or to get feedback with all sincerity, without being emotional, without being combative, and without also being bossy, as it were. Humility gives you to give up when you know for sure that you don't have solution to a particular problem, a task, or an issue, or on a project. So you also need to encourage people who are under you. And again, being a bossy, you call people under you as subordinate. And what is subordinate? Etymologically, we look at subordinate, it means subordinate. Sub, inferior, ordinate, mate, inferior mate. You need to change from the mentality of territorial to that of calling people under you, dignifying name like associate.
Okay.
And what have you? Because there's a lot in the name. So being bossy means you know it all, and whatever you say is final. But being a leader under being humility, you understand, being humble, will be able to treat people like human beings, and you treat them with all what it takes to make them to feel important, to think and be part of a value team that you are leading.
Okay, thank you so much. Having you break down the word subordinate gives me a deeper understanding. So it's actually not right to say this is my subordinate, because like you said, inferior and inferior junior staff kind of. So basically, maybe to some of us, if we use the word subordinate, we might just feel, well, we're just, this is the word that it is. But I think we should copy from that and try to give our. So what should we call people that are working with us? Like you said, associates, and what other words can actually qualify for such? Because if you're a boss and your security guard might not necessarily be your associate. So how would you refer to such people if you're also trying to make them not feel inferior?
Somebody next to us is a human being. He has blood running through his vein. If you are the leader or you are head of them, does not mean that you are better than them. And of course, if you look at them as colleague, as junior colleague, as associate, sometimes they have that sense of appreciation. They have sense of value as human beings. Of course, as a leader, if you tell them to jump, they will tell you,
How high can I jump?
how high should I jump? Thank you. Even if you tell them to say, go to hell, they say, what can I go with?
What is the length? How deep should I do that?
Yeah. So it's all about respect for fellow human being. It's all about people treating people, like human being, not like a tool to be used and done.
So what are the measures that can be put in place to appraise oneself as a leader or a boss? How would you do your appraisal? What are those things that should be done to actually checkmate yourself? Or for me, there is this ideology that I have that, okay, you can always come up together once in a while to hold a meeting. A boss should not, or a leader should not see himself or herself too big to actually come down to the level of his associates to ask the things that he or she is doing right or wrong.
I think number one is feedback. And in getting feedback from people, you should put feedback structure in place to let people under you give appraisal of you first. Right? And in giving feedback, it must be structured. It's something we normally do as a learning center in one of the multinational company I work for in Nigeria. We call it KISS. KISS means keep doing as it is, improve doing as it is, stop doing and start doing. You should be able to, and what do we normally do? We normally give post-it to people, to our associates, the supervisor, whom is seen as somebody that has supervision over and above who is leading. And they are in that quadrant, those things that you are doing well, that you should keep doing, they will list it there. 1, 2, 3. Those things that you should stop doing, those things that you need to improve doing, they will state it there. Those things that you need to start doing, you also need to state it there. Other things that you also need to stop doing, or start doing, they put it there. Number one, there must be a feedback structure in place. What get measured, get done. There must also be performance metric. How effective are you? How effective is your team? And not only that, that is number 2. Number 3, how productive are you in terms of all resources that are given to you? Resources like man, material, machinery, method, minute, which is time, right? So how effective, how efficient are you? Are you efficiently effective in using all these resources? Are you effectively efficient or ineffectively efficient, or inefficiently ineffective? So in other words, number one is there must be a feedback structure in place to let you know how you are faring. And in this, it could be 360 degree. People, as you appraise people, they also appraise you, your colleague or your peer, then your associate, and then your leader. That is that. Number 2 is about efficiency or productivity. Let me just do the word productivity. How productive are you in terms of using the available resources I've just highlighted? The third one is about how do you align with the bigger picture. There's a purpose for the team you are meant to lead. How, with your leadership style, with your orientation, with the way you do things, are you doing things better? Are you doing better things? How? So for that, it's also a criterion to determine whether you are an effective leader or otherwise. The other one is, if you are not there, will that be the end of the team you are leading? Will that be the time effect? So in other words, you should be able to replicate yourself as a leader. In replicating yourself, the knowledge, the attitude, and the competency, you must share it. And how do you share it? Through what I call knowledge sharing series. It could be through training, it could be through coaching, and what have you. All these go a long way to enable us to know the matrix, the metrics, the calibration, the efficiency, the productivity of you as a leader and your style as leader and leadership style to know whether you are doing it well. Again, you must also put certain things in place that will empower people under you, your associate, whether you are there or you are not there. When you delegate responsibility, you must equally delegate corresponding authority. You can also help people, you can mentor them. And when you are mentoring them, what does it mean? It's all about partnership in which a mentee, that is the associate, is assisted in making significant advances in gathering knowledge, perspective, and vision of the organization.
Okay, so now you've actually told us not to call subordinates subordinates, we should call them associates. And now that we know that an organization with a domineering boss cannot survive, or having a domineering boss cannot enhance organizational growth. Now, what would you advise associates or junior staff whose bosses are very domineering? What would you advise them?
Number one, he needs to understand the environment he operates, that's the associate now. He also needs to understand his boss. Is a leader or his boss. Why is he domineering? And of course, he needs to know his high points and then low points. He needs to know when to talk to him so that he can actually get the best out of such a domineering boss. Why is he domineering? Is it by nature or by the environment he works in? Of course, it is, it takes two to tango. And he also needs to do more of scientific way of convincing him on some issues. And again, when he's in his mode of anger, he should actually not raise something that is very key and very fundamental. He should choose the time, the best of time, when the so domineering boss is happy, so that can actually bring matters, whatever, across. Again, such an associate is expected to be scientific and methodical the way and manner he handles such a boss. He should also know what really makes that boss tick and emphasize it. He should also, and of course, not only that, there's nothing wrong in conducting the what I call SWOT analysis. In SWOT analysis of such a boss, it is own responsibility to get the best, to strengthen the strength of the boss, to weaken the weaknesses of the boss, to open up opportunity where things can be done better, and then to turn the threat of such a boss to treasure. How do I mean? He must study the boss, he must know his weakness, he must know his strength, and be able to really get him at the point when he needs his attention and is in a good frame of mind. In doing this, you'll be able to get the best from such a domineering boss.
Okay, finally, let's just quickly look at the women leaders and men leaders. It is known that most women can actually play bossy, maybe because of our personality, or because you don't want anybody to override you. What's your own take on that?
I actually see lady as being painstaking, as being methodical, as being, but if it happened the way you say it, it's also the same thing I also said earlier on. Let me just give you the psychology of human being in a nutshell. Negatives are negative in the world of science is equal to positive in science, in statistics, and what have you. But in human relation, two negative can never make it right. So where the woman is weak, such an associate of a domineering lady boss should be able to understand that and should be able to know how to reach out to her to get the best from her. And again, he also needs to be more convincing in the way and manner he puts things across. Such a lady that is domineering either by instinct, by nature, and what have you. You know, you all need to go extra mile to convince them to see things beyond ordinary. At the end of the day, with all this in place, persuasive way of getting them and situational way of managing them, we surely get the best from them.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you on the show, and I'm really excited to have you. And also, thank you for the way you did justice to the topic. Do you have a final word?
Well, my final word is with the new normal we find ourselves today, the world is too difficult, is too critical, and too challenging to for anybody to be a boss. Rather, you should be a leader. If you get a leader, we'll be able to lead. We can lead up, we can lead down, we can lead across. And that will make us to really create a line of sight in making organization to be a value adding in the organization value proposition. So that at the end of the day, the purpose of existence of individual in an organization and purpose of existence of the corporate organization will surely be realized. In other words, my advice is let's take ourselves an individual, let's take ourselves as somebody who can lead and also will help others to become what they are capable of becoming by becoming tomorrow's leader. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. And thank you too for being part of today's show. I hope you've learned a lot. Please don't call your junior staff or your associates subordinates. Try to glorify them by giving them the name associates or my junior staff, and try to be loving and stop being bossy. Until next time, I remain Olujoke. Bye.